Hello and welcome to From a Basement in Tulsa. I'm Jason Ferguson. Thank you so much for listening. I want to tell you about my week. It's been the coolest week, I think. It feels like it's been a month since I released an episode since the kayfabe was here, but it's been a week, and it's been a cool one. I got to be on TV here in Tulsa, and maybe the national segment talking about the Serial podcast. It's on the TV show The List. If you haven't seen it, please do check it out. Thank you guys so much for featuring our podcast. It was fun to get to do a TV interview. It's so strange after hiding behind a microphone for so long. And I also want to say thanks to the Route 66 Breakdown dudes. They're a podcast also located here in Tulsa, and they let me come be a guest and tell some weird stories from Collinsville, Oklahoma. I don't know where those stories came from. They just brought them out of me, and if you want to go hear them, they're pretty hilarious and I guess fun. So thanks again, Route 66 Breakdown. You guys are cool. I also want to give a shout out and a thank you to my new friend Aaron. He runs a podcast called Retro Obscura, which is incredibly difficult for me to say, but it's a retro gaming podcast, and I've been listening to a couple episodes, and I really enjoy hearing these guys talk about things that they're just super passionate about. I feel like I just enjoy people being knowledgeable about things and loving things, and they love what they do, and they make it interesting to hear them talk about it. So if you're into gaming at all, please do check that out. I'm sure a lot of you are. So thank you so much for listening. And here's Miles Ralston. He's a buddy of mine, and here's some songs off of his newer album called To Those Who Doubt, and we'll start off with Do It Right. Enjoy yourselves, and thank you again for listening.
Looking up at the buildings at midnight, it's never been so clear why they call it the Emerald City. Thought you should know. In the water, it's a golden glow, and I believe I can hang with the best of them. I've opened up my eyes, and there's really no difference in the cities you go. But catching a break is tough, man, is it slow? But I knew that before. I took my chances to break away, and I dared myself to do it right. To do it right now. And it's tough when you don't know a single soul, and in Oklahoma they're not as cold. So I might bring you right back, but I don't know where is home. I would visit. I was younger, and almost always in August. That's when the sun is out to 10 at night. The air is warm and people's spirits are bright. But it's brief, it only lasts a few months or so. You think you like the rain till you see it every single day of the week. The city is always surrounded by green, with more than trees. My chances to break away, and I dared myself to do it right. To do it right now. And it's tough just to hold on to what I know, and it seems cliche to move on home. So I might bring you right back, but I don't know where is home. Search it online, how to do it right, to do it right. Putting all cards in the second time to do it right. A sort of half-fulfilled dream. Am I doing it right? Doing it right. Watching my regrets fade out of sight. Chances to break away, and I dared myself to do it right. Do it right now. It's tough when your heart's falls in limbo. Call me doubting Thomas, it comes, it goes. So I might bring her right back and try to find where to call home.
What a beautiful song, Miles. Tell me about it.
It's a song about, well, obviously I'm a musician and I've been doing it full time for like 7 or 8 years now. And it's a song about the ebb and flow of being a full-time artist, whatever that medium may be. Me, it's music, of course. And it's about people tell you should chase your dreams and you should do it right. You should live your life the way you want to. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that, but at the same time, it can be challenging and hard. So it's kind of about, you know, am I doing it right? Like, you know, is there an answer to this? Am I doing the right thing? All I know is I'm following my heart, as cliche as that sounds, but that's what it's about.
That's beautiful. That's art.
It is.
I like it.
It has to be uncomfortable.
I happen to be a fan of music and art. I don't know if you know this.
I do. I do.
But,
I know you play music.
Yeah. I met you, I think, at the best place to meet somebody, which is at the Hunt Club.
I think
so.
Yeah.
I think I was seeing you there. Casey Hansen may have introduced us.
Yeah.
She's like, meet my buddy Miles. And then I've seen you do all kinds of crazy things since then. It's like you were already there playing music around, doing all kinds of shit. And then all of a sudden you're on my radar, and now I can pay attention to that. You're doing crazy, crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I think I saw you signed some kind of special deal with music and this new album that you have.
Yeah. It's I mean I started working with a few guys who are, it's just kind of a startup kind of agency essentially, and they kind of helped me promote the music some, and we're still kind of working on that. Of course, it never ends, but we had a guy come down from LA. He lives in New York right now. He's from LA, and he's done a lot of work in video, and he came down and did some music videos for some track. Actually, the one we just listened to, Do It Right, is one of the videos. And then another one as well, and that was a really fun process. And they just are kind of putting some belief and some money too behind me, which is kind of nice. So a little bit of weight off my shoulders. So
that's a little bit important. I also see that you just made like one of the most important business decisions you may make in the near future was that you're going to only play in front of Christmas trees now.
That's true. Jason, I can tell Jason follows my Instagram. That is true.
It's true. Also, my buddy just tagged me 2 years ago, I guess this week, which makes sense because it's almost Christmas, but I went with my friend James and we were playing in Oklahoma. I was playing in Oklahoma City, and he had like a hookup with a hotel, and so we obviously drank a bunch, and he tagged me in a video from Time Hop where we made a music video at like 2 or 3 in the morning at the hotel, which you can imagine is wonderful there in Bricktown, and at least 15 shots in, which is you know good decisions are made at 15 shots in, and it's the most
it's a lot of shots.
It's the most ridiculous video. It's so bad that I can't even watch it. Like it's me playing a song, and then all of a sudden the lights come on, and like you see we're in a hallway, like at a hotel, like the lights come on and like they kind of flicker on, so it kind of looks cool. Where like the light right in front of the camera comes on, and they bounce on in the background all the way to the back of the hotel, and I'm just playing the song, stumbling through this hotel, like because the door guy said you can do whatever you want in the second floor, which is horrible to tell drunk Jason.
Yeah,
that's like the worst thing you can say. And like, of course, like we're touring musicians. I had the good like alcohol confidence and all that all going for me. So he thought I was famous, and I was just doing this big video for all the millions of fans. But it's so bad. And then at the very end, you see me like stumble around a Christmas tree at the very end of the video, and then it just stops. And it's kind of cool and kind of fun, but if you pay attention, you can see me almost fall over the whole 3.5 minutes of the song. So like mortifying. Like when it may not even be that bad. If I didn't tell the story, people may not know that I was completely wasted, because I still sang okay. But if you watch,
you've piqued my interest. I have to see this now. Surely this is somewhere on the internet.
I think it's just on my Facebook, which means I could delete it. I'm the only one with access to it.
Don't do it.
But yeah, Christmas trees, that's fun. It's just such a like playing music in front of that, or like just that vibe. It's so pretty.
Dude, I love
wonderful.
Christmas time. It really is like my favorite time of year, and
Is it the most like wonderful time of
it
the
is
year?
the most wonderful time of the year. But yeah, it's fun, man. And this time of year, we were just saying earlier how like gigs, like public gigs, kind of start to dry up a little bit around this time of year. Certainly in January and February. So a lot of my stuff right now is all for private things, which is where you saw. I think that was in the Mid-Continent building downtown, or Mid-Continent Tower. But yeah, it's really beautiful, like playing in some of those buildings downtown, all those like Art Deco design. It's gorgeous, man. But yeah, I was feeling very festive in that moment.
I had the same kind of feeling. It wasn't festive, but I just played for the Route 66 marathon. That's like the last time I played, which is like 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But they put me in front of Temple Israel, in front of like their in front of their sign. So there's like these trees and this beautiful like artsy sign that says Temple Israel, and like flowers, and like the leaves were falling off the tree, like blowing over me as I was playing. And I was like, this is magic. This
is happening. This is real life.
And like, nobody's here to see it. Except for I guess a lot of people ran by, but I can't imagine they were noticing the leaves. They were more concentrated on breathing at mile 16.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How do people do that? I don't get it.
Lots of work. I think it's the same. I imagine it's a lot of the same feelings that we get for putting work into music or whatever. I feel like it's the same kind of highs and magic, except for they're moving their feet and we're moving our vocal cords.
Yeah. I wish I could get into working out. Just can't do it. I hate it.
I did for a few months, and then something else shiny came up. I don't know what it was. But man, back to tell me about that song. I noticed it talks about kind of like the weather changing in Oklahoma and all that kind of stuff. So you already came into that this kind of season gets difficult. Yeah. But I'm glad you're still trucking at it, man. Yeah.
The song also, I was living in Seattle for about a year in 2011 or 12, a couple years ago. And so that was another thing I did, although I just kind of wanted a change of scenery. I also thought it would be good for music just to be in a kind of a more, not that Tulsa isn't, of course, great music. There's a reason I'm here now, but, just a little bit of a change of scenery with some music, meet some new people. And so I went out and did this, and it wasn't, I had some successes, but it wasn't, I missed home, So that's why I talk about the weather changing. And of course, Seattle is very, wet and dreary, but at the same time, it's some of the most beautiful scenery you'll see. So that's when I talk about, some of the imagery I use, and then coming back to Tulsa.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
So yeah,
I like that.
I can't stop staring at this mic in front of me. The red mic popper is so distracting and red.
It looks like you have a clown nose from here.
I kind of was going to say Rudolph, just since we're being festive.
Yeah, Rudolph the clown. No. I saw a Twitter. I bet you can relate or tell me more about this, but there's a Twitter account, and basically they tweet once a day whether or not you can see the mountain back behind Seattle, or maybe it's Portland. I hope it's Seattle. Yeah. But is it Seattle? I hope it's the right one.
Yeah, both cities you can see mountains. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like yes or no just every day. Can you see it through the cloud cover?
The boring Twitter account.
But I bet you a lot of people that could just open up their window and look out and see if they see the mountain. They just check the Twitter real quick.
Yeah,
I bet that's the thing. Just like me, instead of opening a window or walking outside in the morning, I check to see how cold it is to decide if I have to go start my car or not.
Right. Yeah.
I get to sleep an extra 10 minutes if not. So
yeah, dude, it really is so beautiful. I mean, I could see why someone would make a silly Twitter account like that, but man, it really is gorgeous. I mean, the scenery up there is just incredible. And, it was interesting, the music I play is kind of I don't know how to really describe it. That's a hard question. I mean, it's pop, but it's songwriter. It's kind of thoughtful, more maybe intelligent. I don't know if that sounds pretentious, pop music, but
don't you bring your intelligence here.
Yeah, not in this room. No, sir. But they're in Seattle. They're so into metal and punk and all this kind of stuff, and which is great if that's your scene, but it was kind of hard for me to get into there. But I mean, man, it was worth it to, I made some contacts actually that I used on this album. Really great people, and it was worth it just to be in a new city like that. The scenery, it's inspiring being in a place that's that beautiful.
Yeah.
I wrote some great songs. I mean, most of the songs off this album I wrote when I was in Seattle. So
that's great.
Yep.
Probably because you were playing less gigs, so you had more time to
way
spend
less
writing.
gigs. Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah.
That wasn't meant to be offensive, but I can
yeah.
I feel this is the first time I felt this in a long time, but I feel the buzz of needing to write songs, because it hasn't happened for me in over a year. I don't think I've wrote a song in probably a year and a half, which is weird to say out loud because it doesn't feel like it's been that long. But
yeah.
I'm finally feeling it. But then I realized that a lot of the time I'm busy, so I'm gonna hopefully the next few weeks set aside some time and just not do anything else. Just me and the guitar.
Yeah.
I feel like if you make yourself do that, that's when all that stuff can.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be awesome because I've spent so much time just taking notes of song ideas. I don't know.
The iPhone is amazing for that, right? I have so many voice memos on my iPhone of song ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for then I even forget how to play it. Like I have to like do a voice memo and then like write the chords down because I can't tell what I'm playing.
Dude, take a video. Take a selfie video.
I'm not doing that because then I have to watch it. I can't watch myself.
That's funny.
Imagine like we were talking about it before, but listeners, I did a TV interview this week, which is pretty awesome. I guess somebody in Kansas found the podcast, so thank you, whoever you are, if you're a listener or just a Googler. I don't know how that happened, but the popularity of serial podcast is making people really notice podcasting, which is cool because I've talked about the serial podcast like 10 times. I'm like, everybody listen, so I have somebody to talk to about it because it's so intriguing and it takes your attention. But it's so weird, like how much I can hide behind the microphone right now because there's no video, it's just audio, and it's really easy. I've learned to really be myself here, but then you turn on a TV camera and it's like silence.
Yeah.
But like they interviewed me for 30 minutes, so they got a good like 20 seconds of TV time where I'm comfortable talking about the podcast. So it was okay. And I was so nervous about it because there were sometimes I didn't say anything stupid, but there's sometimes I could have worded things better. Yeah. And I was like, man, I wish I wouldn't have stuttered. And then I like here for this podcast, if I say something wrong or if I mispronounce something, I'll just start over and say the sentence again, and I can edit it out later.
Right.
But it's really hard to edit that when you're doing video too, because your body moves and like you can't just recreate the sentence. But you know, the guys at the TV show The List are good at their job, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great, man. I'm happy for you. Yeah, I was mentioning that this guy came out from LA to do these music videos, and they're on my YouTube account, which is Miles Ralston Music, if you want to watch them. But man, he really just executed it so beautifully, and I really felt comfortable around him and the small team of people he had with us. But man, I got to tell you, when we first started doing it, it is so strange being in front of a camera, you know. I hope I get more comfortable with it, and eventually I did, you know. But I remember the first night we shot probably like a 20-second scene on top of the Mayo penthouse building.
Oh, beautiful.
Here in downtown. And so really cool backdrop, and you know, we have all these lights and like these cranes, these video cranes, and like probably 6 or 7 people working, and they just start the song and they're like, all right, we'll just start feeling it. And it's so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm
turn that on,
if I'm at a gig, I can feel it. If I'm like, you know, but it felt so forced, and trying to turn it on, it was just like, you know, it just felt so foreign and odd to me.
Yeah, I can imagine. The dudes in All About a Bubble were telling me about them filming their video and how much they did. And like, I guess there's so much that you can do with the video that I wouldn't imagine because I'm not into that. I'm not into that field. I haven't seen, but I guess they just had like separate photo shoots and separate shoots for the video, and they kind of like pieced them together, which is strange and awesome. Like, and then when they announced the video, I had Lourdes, my girlfriend, Photoshop, like there's a scene where he's holding a picture of a girl, and I had him Photoshop like my face in there and be like, check out my cameo on their video. And it was so very obvious that like it was Photoshopped, and man, that's like one of the most fun things I've done this
funny.
year. So maybe we can do that with your video.
Yeah.
Thanks for the song about me, Miles.
One of the peaks. One of the peaks of the year.
And I can imagine you feel the same way about getting comfortable with the microphone, because I've learned there's different types of microphones entirely. For playing live, I get comfortable playing for years, singing into a vocal mic or dynamic mic, and then you come in here and now I have these like radio recording mic type things, and then so you got comfortable with the same kind of thing doing radio.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. For a while, I was on 106.9 K Hits, one of the top 20 stations here, for anyone who doesn't live in Tulsa. And I was on their show. It was pretty funny. It was a segment called The Man Panel, and it was I don't know if you had heard of this, but it was on like Monday mornings, and it was like 4 or 5, 6 guys, and it always kind of rotated. But I was one of the ones who was usually on there. And each one has a distinct personality. So I was pigeonholed as like the sensitive musician, artist type. And then there's like a banker, and then there's like a nightlife kind of like club guy, and then there's a gay guy, and then so it's just, you know, it's this wide dynamic. And then these people call in or they send Facebook messages saying, you know, I have this relationship problem or I need advice. So and they can ask like, I want this person's advice, or everyone gives their advice, and it's just it's entertaining and kind of silly. And, but it was really fun, man. And I did that for about a year, and I started becoming really comfortable with the radio forum. which was fun.
Yeah, I can. Have you had your music go on any of those shows that they play your song and they have like a panel talk about the song, and like sometimes they're really nice and sometimes they're really shitty.
I have not. No.
I couldn't. I if I did, I wouldn't even be able to listen. I couldn't do that.
Dude,
I can't even be that person. The same kind of, not really the same thing, but I was on a friend's podcast a couple weeks ago. It's called Route 66 Breakdown, and they're a bunch of comedians, and they have that kind of comedian, like harsh personality that you'd expect to find somebody that does that for a living. And like, they were being hilarious talking about these certain issues, and I was like so uncomfortable all of a sudden. I was like, how are you guys so mean? I was like, come on, man, send the love, man. Like that part of me turned on. I was like, you can't do that, man. And I listened back. I was like, man, it wasn't even a big deal. They weren't even being that mean. I was just like, so I can picture myself in that.
I really feel like that's one of like the hardest things about being a musician is taking that constant, like almost daily, like critique from people and criticism, and sometimes it's not always the best, and that's one of the hardest things as an artist is you put your pride and like your soul into this, and then someone could be like, well, I don't much care for it, or have things to say about it. And it's like, don't tear this apart, but at the same time, it's like, it's a product, right? Like, we're putting our stuff out there, and it's a product we want people to buy and enjoy. And so there's always room for criticism, but that's one of the hardest things for me is listening to people. Most of the time, hopefully it's good, but occasionally people don't dig it.
Yeah,
that's
that happens. I should do a segment sometime where I go read, because one time when I released my album, I paid Reverb Nation to do like a 200-person analyze thing. They're like, give us $10, and the point was, if you got a certain rating, they would feature you like on the front of their page. So like, they would feature that song or something like that. I was like, heck yeah, I'll pay $10 for a chance of that. And of course, like everybody I saw that did that got like a 7.99, and you needed an 8 to get featured, that kind of thing. Yeah. But like some of the reviews, it was obviously people from all over the world, and like you could almost tell when it was like a girl or a guy like reviewing, because it was like a love song. Let her fall in love with me. Like it's like it was like the hook of the song, and like someone were like, I fell in love, but then some of the reviews were just so like mean. Like there's a difference between like a critical review where like, hey, they say something that's bad about your song, but it's true. And then there's the kind where they're just being mean to be mean, where they're saying the meanest thing they can think of just because, I don't know, because they love the song too much, and they can't show that because they have to hide in their little closet of hate. Yeah,
little power trip. Dude, anyone can be anyone they want behind a computer screen.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I know.
Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. I want people to be able to be whatever they want, I like that. But then they just don't say mean things to me. Say them all to Miles.
Yeah. Thank you. The internet's been amazing, though. I mean, even though you get some of that baggage with it, it's just, it's so, as if I'm saying news or anything, it's just revolutionized everything so much to be able to share your stuff like that. And, of course, it's hurt the industry too in its own ways, but just to be able to people anywhere in the world to access your music with one click, I mean, that's just so. I mean, it's nothing new at this point, but God, sometimes it's just so crazy to me to think about.
It's so crazy thinking about. There was a time where all I had was Microsoft Paint on a computer when I was like 16. Like now I don't know. I can't imagine being a teenager now where you can do anything.
It's insane, dude. I can't imagine being in high school with Facebook now.
Oh no, that sounds terrible.
I mean, gosh, you think about like your life being exposed and like, bullying and like rumors and oh my gosh.
But yeah, that still happens with adults too, which is strange.
It's true.
Like, I hate that. Like I understand. I hate it for teenagers too, but like adults still find those little groups and like talk shit on The Office, have like somebody from The Office. I'm just like, man, like stop. What are you doing?
Yeah. I try not to bring my baggage into social networks, that's for sure. But I just feel like, man, being in high school when you're so moldable and you're so self-conscious to begin with, and hormones are raging, and it's such an awkward time to begin with.
I'm glad.
I don't miss high school at all.
I'm glad.
Can you tell?
I'm an old man, and like I guess next year is like the 10-year like anniversary of my graduating high school, which is a long dang time. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it or not. Like, have you done something like that?
Actually, mine was this past year. Yeah.
Old ass.
So yeah, I know. I'm older than you by 1 year. But yeah, it was the 10-year reunion, and it's not that I'm like above that or anything, because I feel like a lot of people are just like, I'm not going to go to that, like 10 years, come on, or like I have Facebook, I don't need to see like their kids in person and all this stuff.
They take their kids?
Apparently, I mean,
no, I'm definitely not going. No way.
See, I didn't even go. I remember I had a gig that night. I didn't even go, but I might have gone. I don't know, but I feel like it'd be worth it to see some people that I actually cared about. But I don't know. My school was enormous. I didn't really know pretty much anyone that I even went to high school with.
I think I graduated with like 130 people. So.
Yeah, I graduated with almost 800.
Yeah, so I could.
Yeah,
that's a lot of kids.
Just a bunch of quasi sort of familiar faces.
We met once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your face once. Yeah. Kind of awkward.
I remember talking shit about you on Facebook. That's going to be the thing in 10 years.
Yep.
Let's play another song. Tell me about a song that you'd like to.
Let's do another one. Well, I was just talking about those 2 music videos. Let's play the other one because we're kind of promoting the other one as a single as well. This one is called "Those Who Doubt," which is what the album is named after. The album is called "To Those Who Doubt," and the song is called "Those Who Doubt." It's about like a.
It sounds like it's to the haters.
It's about like taking a chance on like a relationship, and in this case it was like long distance, and it's a lot of, it would be, you know, the lyrics come from, you know, those who might doubt in like love or a relationship no matter the circumstances. Like, this is what I have to say to you. And anyway, that relationship ended up being awful. They were completely right. Big old mess. I'm married now to the most wonderful, beautiful woman in the universe. So this was well before her, but got a good song out of the relationship. So that's good.
I had a friend, Weston Horn, if you're listening, that said a long time ago, he's like, man, I just really need a girl to like break my heart so I can get a good album out of this. And I was like, man, that's not worth it. Like, freaking fake it and write a song.
Yeah.
Here's To Those Who Doubt.
Sometimes I'm just amazed by unexpected doors that open in our lives. I said goodbye to my best friends, my mom and dad. I packed my things and drove myself to the western coast, my things in tow. Now I'm 3,000 miles away from all I've known, including this Tulsa girl, she used to live here 7 or 8 months ago. She unexpectedly called me on the telephone. I didn't know I'd be talking to her every day. Mixtapes, letters, photos in a digital age, it's comfortably strange. My advice to those who doubt is open your minds and open your hearts. It's different when you're into area codes. And I can't put my finger on the unexplainable around, drawn into like a moth, drawn to a flame. Myself think this ain't right. I could turn the other cheek, but that ain't right. It's kind of tough seeing photos of her when she's got that fetching, charming, partial smile. I'd rather see it with my own eyes and let them catch with hers. One in conversation, green the embers streaming her dark cheeks. My advice to those who doubt is being afraid will weigh you down. Afraid of what feels good, what might be right. I guess it's like this open road, the freedom to choose which way to go, the beauty of the unknown, but I'm hoping to grow. She's
That sounds beautiful, Miles. There's there's a lot of beauty in that song. A lot of things in the background going on that just they move you. They move you, man. Tell me about. I know you do a lot, if not all of the recording and all that business. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I recorded, I would say, 75% of the album. I had the drums outsourced. I have a home studio, and I don't have the facility or frankly the knowledge to record drums as well as I'd like to. So I had that outsourced to a good friend. His name is Kendall Osborne. I don't know if you know Kendall.
I know Kendall, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's got an amazing studio. It's like its own freestanding building and everything on his property, on his house. Really, really amazing stuff. And so I had him outsource the drums, and Josh Roach played drums on it. He's a really great drummer around town. And actually I met my wife through Kendall. And they play in a duo called Kinsey and Kendall. And they are, I don't know if you've heard of them.
I think I played a show with them with Roger Yeager.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably because I know they've played with Roger, yeah.
I thought they were married, so.
Yeah, a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
No, but he's married. He's actually the one that introduced us.
How does that make you feel? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he introduced us, and he thought that we would work out well, and sure enough we did. But I know, man, the first time I heard their music, I was like, I think are they a couple? It's kind of like the Civil Wars,
Yeah.
And the Civil Wars, they're each married to their own respective partners too.
No
which
kidding.
Is yeah.
Dadgummit, I'm so easily fooled.
I know it. But yeah, anyway, I met her through Kendall, and she's an amazing singer. Obviously, she, they play out, and she and I are actually playing a gig this Tuesday at the First Shop here in Tulsa. But anyway, recorded most of it, and on that song there's a bunch of strings, and one of the coolest connections I made when I was in Seattle was this guy named Andrew Jocelyn, who actually did all the strings for the Macklemore albums, and he does a lot of like freelance work for big household names, arrangements for him and stuff, and he always goes on tour with Macklemore and all these huge names. So I met him, and he's just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's incredibly down to earth and humble, and he just really liked my music, and he was like, man, we could write some really cool string stuff to this. So he actually wrote all the string parts, and they were recorded in Seattle, and then they were sent to me in Tulsa here at my studio just through email, which is amazing with technology that we can do that. And so I was really lucky to have him on there. It's nice to have, his amazing music and his talent on the album, but it's nice to have his name attached to it too.
Yeah, for sure.
He's legit. So his strings were on that song along with a few other songs on the album. But yeah, I really like that song a lot. That's the other song we did the music video too.
That's awesome. I think it's cool that so much talent, like all the way around. That's amazing to me, because I know like 7 chords, which I talk about often, and then I can sing pretty okay. But then like somebody that can get really good at a lot of things really impresses to me. And if I weren't talking to you, if you weren't sitting right here, I would say something more along the lines of that really pisses me off. but for now, it's impressive. It's
well, now I know the truth. You just exposed it. Yeah. Thanks, man. No, I appreciate it, and definitely, I work really hard at it. I've been playing guitar for almost 22 years now. I started when I was like 6 or 7. I'm almost 30. So been playing guitar for a long time, been writing songs since I was about 16, got really into writing. I used to just love rock and like blues and like electric guitar, like guns blazing, and I still love that stuff. But then I kind of discovered like songwriting and an acoustic guitar, and it's super cool. And then I went to the University of Tulsa, and I got my degree in degree in music with an emphasis in jazz and with guitar. And so that really opened up like being in an academic setting like that, where you're in the jazz program. And jazz, I'm sure you've heard people say this, is like one of the, if you are ever going to be forced to like learn theory and like learn, like get out of your comfort zone, jazz is how you're going to do it,
Yeah.
And so that really opened up a lot of chord knowledge and color for me. And so, yeah, I've been fortunate to have some really great teachers and training and learn all that stuff. So
at least with you, it wasn't easy. Maybe in a way easy, but you got to work with it.
Of course.
I wouldn't be. I'm not mad now. I'm just mad about the people that just pick it up. Like 2 weeks later, they're all of a sudden they're playing violin. Like, oh, I just want to learn violin. Yeah. Hey, I'll play the banjo at the same time. What of it?
At the same time. Yeah, man. It's a lot of work. I still try to practice every day. I used to practice, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours a day. I try to practice, definitely pick up guitar every day and play. So something that you never master, you know, you can always get better at it. That's like the beauty of music and playing an instrument, you know.
I can play the shit out of G, C, and D, Bubba. I play the crap out of some G, C, and D.
You gotta sit down and
E minor. Woo!
You ever heard of an A minor chord? You gotta sit down and learn more chords, man, and learn more.
Well, I'm just kidding about that, but I am really trying to learn the theory, and actually these bells are helping out a lot. And Nathan Wright taught me a few things while he was here. I don't know if you know that gentleman, but
yeah, Nathan's cool.
I told you I need you here to help record this podcast. I need you here as a guest, but really, I need some free music lessons.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah,
so after this, you got another 3 hours. Hope you're free.
As long as we do our music lessons on your podcast. So listen
I can't. People don't want to hear. People don't want to hear. No, Jason.
First finger G string.
Oh, play a G. Next, I moved to D, right?
Yes.
Let's hear a song on your album that's G, C, and D. There has to be one,
Let's
right?
do it. Oh my gosh, I don't think there is. No, man, I used to be obsessed with trying to put as many like colorful chords, especially when I was learning all these chords and getting really confident and comfortable with them. All these extensions and kind of unusual progressions, and I mean, I love stuff like that. But I really was starting to put too much in, where it was starting to sound kind of inorganic, like it was kind of starting to feel a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I try to like not let myself get too involved with that, and I try to just sit down, and whenever I write a song, and I try to just whatever feels right. Like sometimes there's a time and a place for, you know, flat 5, you know, a dominant flat 5, or, you know, sharp 11, like with a you know, natural 7th, and adding, what's that?
I said, are these movies?
Yeah. Adding all these interesting chords, you know, like there's a time and a place, but sometimes, you know, we're kind of joking about it, but yeah, I mean, I'll sit down, and if it's G, C, D, A minor, E minor, you know, C, D, 7, G, if that's what sounds best, then that's what works, you know?
Yeah.
It's a sign of, and I'm still working at that, but you know, you hear some amazing songwriters, and I think that's a sign of maturity, is like when you can just really put in there what sounds best, and not necessarily trying to impress someone else or impress yourself, trying to convince yourself you can do this.
Have you ever, I'm thinking of a band right now that I've seen when they're just 7 musicians, all of them absolutely incredible at their instrument. But then it's kind of when you get 7 people that are that good, trying to, I don't know if they're trying to show off, just trying to do, like, put the most complicated thing into a song. When you hear it, it sounds almost like, if you're a musician, you can be impressed. But if you step back and think of it as just a listener, it sounds just like cluttery and choppy. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
You've seen that before?
Have you heard of the Punch Brothers before?
No.
Okay. That's Chris Thiele. He was the mandolin player in Nickel Creek. He's like a prodigy virtuoso, and he assembled this essentially 5 or 6 other guys, maybe 4 other guys, who are also just equally as amazing, incredible at their instruments. And it's a traditional bluegrass lineup. And they do that. I mean, these guys are literally like musical geniuses at their instrument. Just like those weirdos who are so good.
Yeah.
And
bastards.
It's incredibly complicated and involved. Exactly what you just said. I'm just repeating what you said. As musicians, you know, you can really appreciate that. But sometimes I've listened to it with people who aren't musicians, and they're just like, I don't like this. It's kind of like jazz. Like people who, you know, not to say that there aren't non-musicians who don't like jazz, because of course there are, but like, you know, a lot of people are just like, ugh, this sounds weird. And too, you know, like, where's the chorus? Where's the hook? You know?
Yeah. But then are you equally, maybe not annoyed? Is it equally as obscene to you when you hear a song that's completely the opposite, and it's only hook, 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 hook?
No,
like that seems, I don't know. I'm just trying to think out loud into a microphone here. It doesn't annoy me, but there's so many. There's the opposite as well. I'm just trying to point that out.
I totally get what you're saying. I'm a sucker for a hook, and I kind of, that's something in my songwriting that you'll hear is pretty much every song's going to have a really good hook to it. I like to think, at least. And the Beatles are, you know, definitely my favorite band and one of my biggest influences. And you know, you listen to Beatles songs, it's just like, gosh, every song after song after song. There isn't a Beatles song that doesn't have an amazing hook, and they're so musical and so amazing. And so I try to do kind of the same thing with like a hook and something that anyone can sing along to and anyone can relate to. You know, if you can relate to it, then that's what I want. But, you know, I definitely have some like goofy like pop songs on my iPod. I'm sure, you know, that I wouldn't be necessarily proud to go show anyone, but I love a hook, man. I love it.
I feel a little bit odd to have, because I was just trying to like move into the opposite there, but I freaking love probably a lot of songs that are just exactly what I described. So maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have only hooks.
Whatever, whatever moves you. You know, I mean, there's.
I was talking about those comedians, and I didn't think to say it on the podcast, but I wanted to talk about that, about how some songwriters, just like hook. I wanted to be like, when you're writing your comedy set, why don't you just have like punchline, and act like I didn't realize how stupid and difficult that would be. Like every sentence is a joke. Why, slackers? Come on,
do your job.
Man, I love learning a bunch about like that kind of stuff. Talking to comedians and musicians, and just I even the TV guy that came over, Lee. I hope you're a listener now. Is really into like kind of pro wrestling. Like he's a luchador in Tulsa, and we were waiting on my girlfriend to get here to act like she was on the podcast because the host wasn't here like we planned. Whatever. But she had to go interview somebody for some cookies, which is completely understandable. She just come talk to me or get some sweet sugar cookies. Yeah. I understand.
Come on.
But we ended up talking for a few minutes about how similar writing, like possibly like a wrestling luchador set is to like building in a bridge or building in a hook to a song about working the crowd in a way, because it's really similar. And I was like, man, this is so awesome that it's so the same. Yeah. Everything's the same, man.
It's all like learning and progressing and all that stuff. But yeah.
It was just cool to see. I still feel silly asking like, man, doesn't it suck when every song is awesome and has only hooks?
Yeah.
Let's move into another song if you are cool with that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's play Science of Sound. My wife Kinsey was also on this song and she was involved with the album, and that's a good one. Science of Sound.
All right, well, here's Science of Sound by Miles Ralston.
People talking about the innocence of everything, but they're just waiting to fall. And I'm not the type who is a pessimist and negative, but sometimes you gotta just crawl through it all. You gotta pick yourself up. If people think the things they do just go unnoticed, well, I like to think that they don't. And isn't me, or do we analyze relationships more as our years grow older? Patterns of incompletes are usually why I find myself down, trying new things. New faces can be my own science of sound, personal science of sound. Now I'm waking up at 1 and late, and that's fun, but they're nothing I didn't think that they'd be. I'm so tired and I can't even sleep. That's alright. Like a chapter from a dream, I'll be with brand new strangers, detached from my own neighbors, in pleasantly uncomfortable ways. Inside my mind, it's in my own best interest to review my life's blueprints. I'm turning over a brand new page, brand new page. Open the blinds and let the sunlight spill into the room with just a simple movement. If it was easy in life, or in a moment I would always be drenched in the light, in the light, the light, always drenched in the light. With a heart that has been bruised or has been battered, often it's fueled with a hope, with a hope that one day someone will complete it, allowing life to unfold. Patterns of incompletes are usually why I found myself down, resilience of some. Because maybe I'm someone with brighter days to come. I'm not asking for all your ideas. I surprise myself with a resiliency. That's alright. Like a chapter from a dream, I'll be with brand new strangers, detached from my own neighbors in pleasantly uncomfortable ways. Inside my mind, it's in my own best interest to review my life's blueprints, turning over a brand new page, brand new page, a brand new page, a brand new page, a brand new page.
Beautiful song, Miles. I have to, this may be new to you, new information. First time you're hearing this, or first time even considering this. I think your wife's voice is prettier than yours.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I know it's kind of heartbreaking. I think she has a beautiful voice, and I'm sorry that you should start a project with her.
I know, man. No, actually, seriously, dude, her voice is amazing, and it really is better than mine. But no, that's how I met her. I kind of fell in love with her voice, and actually met her at one of her gigs, and yeah, through Kindle, like I was saying earlier. But yeah, man, she's incredible. We are playing this Tuesday at the First Shop downtown.
So if you're listening first day, that's today. If you're listening launch day, you're playing tonight.
Oh, tonight. Okay, yes, tonight then. At the First Shop, which will be really fun.
Dude, the First Shop has the prettiest view of downtown from their patio.
I know, right?
I'm amazed. Well, maybe there's different kinds of prettiest views. The Mayo rooftop is beautiful looking down.
I think you're right though, man. I think that view is on the back patio is just gorgeous.
I don't think you'll be playing there on Tuesday unless it's
probably not
like in the afternoon where it's kind of warm. But
no, they built like a new stage upstairs. Have you been there recently? Mm-mm. Yeah, I haven't either in probably a couple months. But apparently they built a new stage upstairs. That's where they're having music now. Is all upstairs.
That's cool. First Shop seems to be doing a lot of cool things with music and poetry and
yeah.
Hilton Price does like Dr. Sketchy's something where they have people pose and you can sketch them, which is a cool idea. Like they have like burlesque dancers, and then they also have comedians or some kind of performance. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And that's been at First Shop. So they're stepping up and doing some cool shit there, which is awesome.
That's cool, man.
And the least cool thing is obviously having you play, but
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Cool.
I'm just kidding.
No, I love playing there, man. That's one of my favorite places to play in Tulsa. It's always a good crowd. It's always really eclectic, and they're good to their musicians.
What kind of setup time and teardown time is that Christmas tree you're going to be carrying?
Oh, that's true. And I have to haul it up the stairs with that new stage upstairs.
Shattering ornaments everywhere.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I have to put the new Christmas lights on. I need an extension cord.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that she was part of Science of Sound. Can you talk about the name and just the point of Science of Sound? I know you're talking like a chapter in a dream kind of.
Yeah. Once again, this kind of has to do with having maybe a down point in your life where your month or your 2 or 3 months aren't going great, and so this was a fantasy I had just about kind of like leaving it all just being in a new place, which when I talk about like a chapter from a dream, I'll be with, brand new strangers, detached from my old neighbors in pleasantly comfortable ways. And so it's just about being in a new environment with new people and just kind of a blank canvas, and kind of, I guess, hearing myself talk about this out loud, kind of like running away from whatever it is that's bothering you. Yeah, I really like that song a lot. And a lot of the songs on the album that you listen to, it's a very, what's the word? I'm not sure what kind of word I'm thinking of, but it's a lot of change. That's kind of the theme of the album is change within myself and kind of a coming of age theme. But yeah, there's a lot of it that talks about kind of leaving your roots and being in a new place. And the last track actually talks about coming back to your roots because you didn't like the place, so there's a lot of that happening. So
that's awesome. That's beautiful that it's a whole storyline of the album. I haven't wrote an album that way, and I don't guess you see that a lot. So I really enjoy that that's a thing.
Yeah. And it kind of just happened organically and naturally. Like it didn't, I didn't sit down to write a theme album. It's just that I happened to be in this kind of, really specific pivotal kind of moment in my life when I started writing for this album. And I remember like, being an independent artist, you don't have an obligation unless you're with an indie label, to work on a new album. At this point, we need to release X amount of albums or something. So I remember I had my other one that I finished in, very, very late 2010. It was December 2010. It was around Christmas time. I remember that. But then I remember one night I was just like, I need to write a new album. And it just kind of happened. And I released this one last July. So it's been about 6 months or so now, 5 months, since it was released. But yeah, it's so crazy whenever you record and these albums just sort of take their own path and their own route, and they just kind of start happening. Like you might have a vision, but the vision I had for this album was not what it ended up being. It just kind of has a mind of its own, and the music just takes it to wherever it takes it.
That's awesome.
I love that so much about music, man. I think
that's great too.
Yeah.
What's the most surprising sounding song you think that you didn't think it was going to be that way when you started?
Probably the last track that I was just talking about. It's called Where Your Shadow Lays, and Kinsey also sings on that one with me. It's a beautiful kind of duet song, and it's, like I said, it's about leaving your roots to try to start anew, and then being drawn back to your roots where your shadow lays. Kind of makes sense. But I had it initially, this vision in my head, with sort of a pre-production sound of it just being pretty minimalist with an acoustic guitar and a couple of harmonies. And I just kind of want it to be a nice closing track to kind of, a nice easy breath at the end of the album. And Andrew Jocelyn, the string guy from Seattle, ended up writing string arrangements to it, and it ended up becoming this like epic like ending to the album, and it got really huge, and it builds slowly throughout the album, where by the end of the album it's there's 3 guitars, and there's a huge sounding string quartet with lots of reverb and sounding really, really buttery and sweet, and then there's vocal tracks, and there's bells on it, and there's bass, and there's an electric guitar, and it ended up becoming huge, which was completely the opposite of what I was thinking. But it was a really hip way to end the album. Kind of, it just sort of fades out with this big sound, and it kind of reminds me kind of a Beatles sound, actually, going back to my influence with them. Kind of took that idea from them.
Yeah, That sounds magical, which reminds me of like this. I'm gonna try to word this weird hippie thing that happened to me at work, which is surprising. But I was Science of Sound kind of reminded me of this thing I was thinking, that I was actually in some like video training at work, and it was like safety training, which means they tell you what you should be doing to be safe. And it was hearing protection, and they like, I had heard it, I had seen it, I've known that how your ear works a little bit, but like it's for some reason set in this moment, probably too bored and thinking about other things, watching this video. But I was like, just how sound works, and like sound comes from my throat and like moves some airwaves, which tickles something inside of your head, which then gets transformed into something else, which makes it can change your life, it can change your reality, it can change how you think, it can change how you feel. And I was like, oh my gosh, how is this not magic? Yeah. And like this is magic,
and blowing your mind.
Yeah, it was so weird. So then I was like telling somebody that after like my boss walked out and was like, Jason, quit talking, get to work. And like my immediate reaction was like don't yell at me with your dark magic, because immediately I realized that if you can say something nice to somebody and if that's can make them feel better, how is that not like if it's magic, how is that not like a bright light magic? And if you can also say something that makes you feel bad or makes you feel gross or makes you feel angry, how is that not a dark form of some kind of weird hippie magic?
Yeah.
And I feel awkward now that I've said that out loud. But
form of hippie magic.
But that's how I've thought about that 1,000 times. And just reading the title "Science of Sound," I was like, yeah, the science and magic of sound.
The magic of
I was
sound.
like, a little piece of me was hoping that you're like, yeah, the science of sound. I was thinking about how when you speak or when you sing, it like just moves some airwaves, which tickles your ear hole, and magic.
That is not what it's about. But that song is one of those like random titles where you just sort of like, I just picked a line from the song that I thought kind of sounded cool, or like a phrase. Do you ever do this whenever you write songs? Do you ever like, you'll be missing a lyric or something won't fit, your idea won't fit into like what space or rhythm you have, and so you're trying to think of different ways to say it and like rephrasing it, and then eventually like you just kind of like think of random words or random phrases that just sound good and feel good coming out of your mouth. It's like kind of when you're writing a song, you'll just kind of make up dummy lyrics when you're kind of singing along, you know, and that lyric, like my own science of sound, like that doesn't mean anything in the song, you know. It's just one of those, it's a pretty damn meaningful song, but that's just one of those words that just, I don't know, that phrase science of sound just felt good when I was singing it. And so it's kind of one of those random incidences. Paul McCartney talked about when he was writing Yesterday, that he wrote all the melody with gosh, I forget what it is. It's like eggs and bacon. So he just kept saying eggs and bacon, eggs and bacon, eggs and bacon, eggs and bacon, eggs and bacon. And so he just like sang the entire, so it's the same kind of thing, although I didn't say eggs and bacon, but science of sound.
Science of sound.
I should have named that song Eggs and Bacon.
The magic of sound is the name of the song now. Sorry, you're going to have to reprint your album.
The magic of sound. Magical.
Thanks for letting me spill that just weird thought that I've been brewing in my head. What's fun is I said it in like a minute, but I have like in my head, there's like a 20-minute spiel on what it could be taken as. And then like, whew, it's just a weird hippie magic.
It's a lot of hand.
So don't be laying out no dark magic on me.
I won't. No dark magic today.
Or to your peers, listeners.
I won't.
You have the choice.
This is steering in a weird direction.
I love that weird, awkward direction. That Jason, what are you on? Just coffee, man. That's all it is.
I understand.
Well, sir, I'm very glad you came over. And,
I know.
And this is fun. We should hang out more often. I'm glad to catch up, dude.
I know. It's been entirely too long since I've seen you. Thank you for having me.
Dude, this is a blast.
Yeah.
We'll do it again, especially if you write that song about the magic of sound.
The magic of sound. Next time, I'll have it ready.
Last week's weird thought was about if you could incorporate love into a song and send that love to a person that's listening. And the kayfabe was like, yeah, this is deep, and like that's the word they used instead of weird.
This is deep. That makes it sound good, right?
where can we find you and your songs?
Just same place you find any music. iTunes, Amazon, Spotify. Once again, my name is Miles Ralston, Ralston, and the album is called To Those Who Doubt. And you can also look it up on YouTube and all that stuff. So anywhere you go buy music nowadays, it's there. And
if you're listening to launch day and you happen to be in Tulsa, go to the First Shop. It's going to be beautiful. It's a beautiful place. That's right. And I'm going to try to be there. I think that'll be fun.
8 to 11, Tuesday night.
That sounds great.
Might have some Christmas songs up my sleeve.
Right on.
Because I don't think I can bring that Christmas tree.
I'll bring it. I don't care. I'll bring a Christmas tree. I don't give a shit.
It's going to happen.
I need to buy one anyway. Thanks, man.
That would be nice.
I want to get because listeners, we're in a basement for real, and which is surprising to some people as they come over. But it's like 7 foot maybe to the roof, so I want to get like a 10-foot tree and like stuff it in a corner to where it kind of bends over.
Yeah.
I really want that for some strange reason. I don't know.
I really want that.
Let's play another song, man, and we'll outro that.
Cool.
That's how we say see you next week.
Oh,
with a song.
Let's do Where Your Shadow Lays, the one we're just talking about.
All right. Well, thanks again, and thank you, listeners. And look Miles up everywhere on the interwebs, and I'll leave a link to iTunes in the podcast description.
Awesome.
And maybe somewhere else, because there's other people listening that aren't on iPhones. So maybe I can leave like I don't know what else, like a Google Play.
There are people who don't have iPhones? What?
Yeah, I think maybe it's even the majority, but we'll talk about that another time. Here's what are we playing?
Where Your Shadow Lays.
Here's Where Your Shadow Lies. Thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Driving 60 down on 75, past the semi, looked out to the right. Open pasture, sun was setting down, and Oklahoma nights the sweetest smell. I made up my mind, I'm coming home. It was just a little less than a year ago when I opened up the door and I hit that road to where I'm coming from. Second day of driving, pouring rain, backward dusty roads and cigarettes. The year's reflections pulsing through my brain.